The following video and photographs are from my work in the High Sierra. I started taking pictures in 1979 when I was skiing the John Muir Trail, and that trip lasted 33 days and traveled the length and breadth of the range, 211 miles. I spent a lot of time scrambling in the peaks with my friends and traveling with my family, backpacking and climbing with my wife Nancy a lot. And the Sierra is really not just where I live, but it is how I live. What do I mean by that? I've become a photographer and a climber and a traveler, and the range is the place that defines who I am. I use a large format camera, a 4x5 Linhof. This instrument is a means to an end, and the end is expression, my expression, my interpretation of what's out there in this place, in these mountains. My wife Nancy and I live along Hilton Creek. Actually, my wife and my daughter Laurel live along Hilton Creek, and walks out of our back door can seem like they take us a long way from my career as a general contractor, and so I'm lucky that I have a place like this to call home. For many years I made Cibachrome prints in my darkroom underneath my studio here, and I have subsequently made the switch to making prints digitally with a LightJet Symbiotic enlarger. I don't scan my originals. That happens at Autumn Color in Worcester, Massachusetts. I get a very high resolution scan and then sit in front of the computer and do whatever it is I'm going to do: lighten areas, darken areas, saturate colors, desaturate colors. There's a lot that goes into the printmaking. Currently, I am with each of these portfolios that this video has been running through. I am going to make one print of each of the photographs and a print for myself to keep, an artist proof. In other words, if you're wondering, if the viewer here is wondering how many prints I'm going to offer for sale, one. And the reason I'm doing that is I think that these are precious works of art, and to just have multiple copies out there in multiple different sizes and trying to play some gimmickry with having a limited edition out there is just exactly that. It's just it's a gimmick. And so whoever buys one of these portfolios, and I will not break the portfolios up. The photographs that are in each one of the portfolios are going to stay together.
It's fine.
That's.
I think there's an age limit though, Leon, and you're past it.
So something special. Create something special. Yosemite has been an especially important part of my life. As a kid, I'd go there with my family, and my grandmother was especially fond of the valley, and she would take us there on her 2-week vacation from her job at her beauty parlor that she owned in the Bay Area. And then as a teenager, I discovered climbing and took up skiing, and of course, Yosemite Valley was the mecca for climbers at that time. And so I've spent a ton of time there, a ton of time in Tuolumne, made, I don't know, hundreds of ascents there, including at one time the world record speed ascent up the Salathé Wall. I still have dreams in my middle age here of getting one more last hurrah and climbing back in the valley hard again. I don't know if that'll happen again. There's just a lot of time constraints on my life at this point in time, being a husband, being a dad, and just trying to maintain a career. Those things just take up tons of time. My trips into the backcountry are with old friends and with my family, and these are usually extended trips in terms of time, at least. We'll go out for 8 to 12 days, and what we try to do is spend a lot of time in a single place, and really get to know it. Also, spending a lot of time in one place allows us to get up peaks and scramble around, and I really like to over and over and over walk around a place or be in a place before I think I can take a photograph that's that's something more than just superficial. I think that that's one of the reasons that I'll go back to, for instance, Cloud Canyon 4 times. That may happen over the course of 10 years, but I just really don't think you can get to know a place by traveling through it just once. Tuolumne Meadows is really a spiritual place and home for me. I spent a decade there climbing every summer, and I don't know, I put up a number of climbs there, on some bigger climbs on Fairview Dome with Vern Clevenger was my main partner, and I climbed with my wife Nancy there a lot. I climbed with my great friend Jim Keene there a lot, and we of course go back. It's close to us. It's only 50 minutes away, an hour away, and I was able to go on some great walks over the best granite in the world. John Muir called the Sierra the range of light, and he was right in a sense and he was wrong in a sense. The light that is really blows your mind and has the big wow factor doesn't happen all the time. There's a lot of, I'll call them dull sunny days, but then when that layer of clouds or Pacific storm moves in, or a thunderstorm moves in, and you get this great changing light that happens. It is something special to behold, and there's such a tremendous variety of it, and of course at this point in time words fail me. I've been to other places, other big wilderness places, Alaska being the most significant. And the light up there is different and has a different quality to it. It's boy, the Sierra is just this sort of gemstone of light. That's maybe a good way of describing it. And the Arctic has a more subtle quality to it, and one that's a little dreamier, if that makes sense. So, although the Sierra is my home and will always be sort of the soul of who I am as an artist and a person, that doesn't mean that other worlds, wilderness worlds, don't fascinate me. The one thing that I can say about the Sierra and traveling through the Sierra, Muir's famous description was that this is a gentle wilderness, and he was absolutely right in that one. There aren't any grizzly bears, which in Alaska are a very real threat when you're out there in the wilds. There can be bugs, which are annoying and really annoy the heck out of me. But just go into the mountains in September, and the more popular places aren't popular at all. The people are gone. It's easy to walk around. There aren't horrendous storm cycles. It's really, it really is an ideal place to experience the mountains, or a mountain setting, a mountain environment. Got to know almost all the packers on the east and west sides of the range, and since let's see, 1983, we'll always use horses to get us in our first day. I found that carrying an 85-pound pack over a pass would just basically cripple me for a couple of days, and it was also starting to really take its toll on my body. So we get packed in the first day, and then we start hiking. And one of the things that I think is interesting about the Sierra is how different each region can be. Northern Yosemite seems to me, and southern Yosemite seem to me a very intimate place with lots of hidden tarns, and the wildflowers just seem to bloom in bigger bunches there. The southern Sierra is more dramatic. It's high peaks. It's austere basins. There's definitely a different character to different parts of the range. The Kings River region with its big, huge river drainage is different from the rest of it, and that's a neat thing to have a place that has so many different faces on it. I use transparency film, Fuji Ostia. It has good latitude, and it has a neutral color balance, which I like. I don't use any filters in my photography. I just don't see any need to. I really see more of a need of having an extended contrast range. I don't like the pumped up colors or high contrast of a lot of films that are out there. I'm currently investigating inkjet prints, and I'm looking at printing on some of the museum rag. What I'm looking for is color brilliance, color gamut, and color in an extended tone scale, and longevity is an important part of each of my prints. especially since I'm only going to do one, these prints have to last 200 years plus on display, and then I really want to see them last indefinitely in dark storage, and these are important considerations for anyone who is looking to collect my work, and then also as I said, the entity that or person who is collecting my work needs to know that this is I'm not making a commodity. That idea that idea of thousands of prints being out there is just aberrant to me, and I also I don't want to revisit my work. I want to move on to the next thing, and so be it. If whatever version or whatever I do, if something, some new technology, or maybe I decide that, gee, maybe there's a little bit too much blue in that sky, or I didn't quite neutralize the magentas enough, or the reds are a little bit too pumped up. Well, oh well. Hey, we're not perfect, and I'm trying to make it as perfect as I can, but really I do like to move on and to just continually revisit my work over and over again. Just doesn't do much for artistic growth in my mind. So I'm 50 now, about to turn 51, and I think I have a significant number of years left getting out into the remote parts of the Sierra. Maybe Laurel will start carrying me as she gets stronger, inevitably, and starts passing me up on the trails. That's wishful thinking. Anyway, so I'll continue to present my work in the same fashion, because I think it makes the most sense to present it as portfolios, and it just puts things together. And I came upon this idea because I thought, well, this is the way I work. I work in these segments of these trips. And another thing I should mention is that the work has also been divided into regions. So in other words, the Mount Whitney and Sawmill Pass is Sawmill Pass are pictures from the Sawmill Pass area, Woods Lake and around Cedric Wright and Sawmill Lake. So I hope you've liked the visual trip. And hey, happy trails.
Okay.
Your ball?
No, I'll